Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nutritional Revolution podcast. Today, we have for you guys Clara Marie Koppenburg, and she is a professional German road cyclist who has tremendous grit. With more than a decade of experience in the sport under her belt, Clara grew up riding horses, playing tennis and basketball, skiing, sailing, rowing, and running. Although she mountain biked with her dad in Europe, it was a life-changing trip to Colorado that got her hooked on riding the roads, and she began training and racing. It was early in her career when she was pegged as one of the Peloton's strongest climbers. Most recently, she finished 88th in the overall Tour de Femmes. And on this episode, we talked about the current status of road cycling and the toll it takes on some riders in terms of weight gain and loss, eating habits, REDs, and low energy availability, which Clara has used her platform to speak up about. This is a fascinating episode, you guys. Enjoy the listen. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nutritional Revolution podcast. We have for you guys Clara Koppenburg. Did I say it all right? Decent?
Perfect. Sounds pretty good.
Okay, I'm trying. Thank you so much for joining us today, Clara.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to be here.
We are very excited to talk to you. But before we dive into a whole, I think a fantastic topic, and I'm very excited. Thankful for you that you're so open and sharing on this topic too, that we'll dive into here shortly with our listeners. But first, we're going to do your 2 truths and a lie. So I'm going to let you break those down for me around here.
All right. So I've been thinking about it, obviously. First fact is when I was younger and I was a skiing teacher, my sister and me, while we were sitting in the mountains, we had our own beanie company and we were knitting beanies.
Cool.
First fact.
Okay.
Second fact is since I got my driving license, which was in 2012, I've never parked parallel again. It's my weakness. And third fact is, I think sometimes people ask me what would you have done if you wouldn't be a professional cyclist? I probably would be as well a professional musician like my sister.
Oh, wow.
On the keyboards.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. These are good ones. It's always fun when the guest gives us ones where it's hard to research these kind of things on you when we're researching our guests. I'm not going to find out if you had a beanie company, I don't think, or if you never parallel parked again after your driver's license test. That would be pretty impressive if you haven't parallel parked since 2012 and haven't had to.
I'm not going to give you a hint.
Wow. The beanie thing's cool. I could see that being a thing. I'm going to go with
We'll
it.
Figure it out.
My guess is going to be that the parallel parking is a lie, but we're going to find out. If you're a unique unicorn and never had to parallel park since 2012, you're one lucky lady. All right. Well, we will reveal that at the end of the episode for our listeners. But diving in today, do you want to share with our listeners maybe a little bit about kind of what brought you to cycling, and then I'll let you share what you shared most recently on your social media.
Yeah. So, like you said already, I'm Clara, and now I'm just 30 years old. And I do professional cycling now since 10 years.
Wow.
I started relatively late because a lot of young cyclists, they start when they're 8 or 10 or something, but cycling for me was never such a thing. I did a lot of different sports. For 10 years, I was riding the horses. I did a lot of tennis, but mostly I was doing track and field. I was doing all the running disciplines.
Wow.
From 800 meters to 10,000 meters. And I was training a lot on the track, and I really enjoyed it because it was also always, like every evening, and you saw your friends and everything. It was quite nice to meet people. But then through the training, I got quite a lot of injuries in my knees and foot and stuff. And my dad, he was always a passionate cyclist, never like a professional cyclist, but he loved to ride his bike on the mountain bike on the road. And he worked as a doctor in a cycling team. Mm-hmm. And when I got injured, he just told me, right now for 6 weeks, you're not allowed to run. So let's just try the bike. I was about 16, 17 years old. And first I was really skeptical about it because when we were younger, he put me and my sister always on the mountain bike, and we did not really enjoy it apart from the breaks with a lot of chocolate and chicken and stuff. So I was really I don't think I will like it. But first ride, I was in love with it. I was
Oh.
suddenly, I felt the freedom, and it was kind of a suddenly me and my dad started to connecting a lot better.
Mm.
And I used the rides, just I waited for him to finish the work and we started riding in the evenings.
Oh.
And it was just so lovely to also explore all the places I've actually living in. So like because before I just went to the track and field, to the school, and maybe to somewhere else. But suddenly I could explore all the nature, and it was just a wonderful way for me to get to know myself, my body, and also share rides with other people and stuff. And then right after school, I finished school in 2013. I started studying sport, like 3 hours away from home. And there I went into like a little sport club where I did cycling. And suddenly everything, it just came like a rolling stone. And I could share, I got invited into like a little training camp where I met the first time other female cyclists. And I was like, this is so great. And like one of them I'm really still friends with. She's quite a big name in cycling, Liane Lippert,
Mm.
and she was my first roommate. And she
Oh.
told me that she's racing outside of Germany, and I was like, wow, this is so great. I also want to do stuff like this. And yeah, I just started my first races, and within 1 year, I got a contract in
Wow.
a smaller, like Swiss team,
Mhm.
or small by that time, but actually it was quite big. I was my first teammate there was Annemiek van Vleuten, and we had quite some big names in the team. And yeah, so I just learned it the hard way, the races, and but I like started to really love it. And from there on, it just got more and more professional. When I stopped my university, I finished the bachelor degree, and then I was just fully committed to the sport. And yeah, from there on, I was just kind of living the dream, more or less.
Yeah, amazing. The story with your dad is really sweet because I resonate with that because that's kind of what happened with me and my dad, except there was
Okay.
no chocolate involved. My
Oh,
dad, he's I don't well I don't know how to convert this into meters, but he's 6'4", so he was quite taller than me.
okay.
And so
Uh-huh.
he let me ride his old hardtail mountain
Oh,
bike, but for someone who's way taller than me. And I just remember like I did not like it. I was like, this is so
yeah.
uncomfortable. Your bike is humongous for me. There was no
Awful.
chocolate
Oh
incentive.
no.
But all that to say is I eventually grew to love it once I got my own bike. And yes, we got to like go out together as
Oh,
well and
lovely.
create that like better,
Yeah.
yeah, cool relationship. I love
Because I
that.
think nowhere else than on the bike you have suddenly so much time to actually talk to people.
Yes.
Because like yeah, you can meet friends in a coffee, but after honestly after an hour, 1.5, you're kind of bored. What do you else
Yes.
talk about? But on the bike, suddenly you spend 2 to 5 hours with people,
Yeah.
and there's just like the topics you can talk about are just like fluentless going into each other, and
Yeah.
it's so nice. It's really a special connection, I think.
Hmm. Yeah. And being out in nature, like you said. So when your
Yeah,
dad got you on the bike, were you on a road bike or were you on a mountain
yeah.
bike? Okay.
No, ride on
Nice.
a road bike. I
Yeah.
skipped completely the mountain bike, and I think it was a wise decision.
So got into more professional cycling and started competing, obviously very, yeah, competitively. You went pro within a year, it sounds like. Tell me a little bit about the like performance pressures through that progression and how that affected you.
Um, I think honestly, I never had like such a big pressure because I came so new into the sport and
Mhm.
everything was new, and the team really supported me and just kind of throw me in the cold water. And with every race, I had to do more work for the team, but there was never like such a big pressure. I
Mhm.
think the biggest pressure I put myself on probably because I
Mm,
just wanted to be good. I was always quite competitive, even like in card games, I always want to win.
yeah.
So I just really wanted to always be like the perfect the perfect athlete. Let's
Mhm.
say it
Mhm.
like this. And like when I realized, okay, what it comes from, you really have to train. I really I'm quite a perfectionist, and if I have a training plan, I really want to fulfill it to 110%.
Yeah.
And so I think like the biggest pressure I put myself on, but also, yeah, I mean, if once you're in the circle of cycling and stuff, if you're at the race, you just want to also want to stand on the podium, and
Mm,
you want to or if you don't stand on the podium, you just want to do the maximum for your team because it is still a team
Mm-hmm.
sport. And also, it's not like a normal job where you get like the same salary as everyone. Like you get the salary you own, and therefore you have to work hard and you have to become better and you have to bring results. So, and the first 5, 6 years, I didn't got any salary. I was just like doing it
Wow.
myself. And then it started that when I finished the university, I also had to make a decision. Okay, what do you do now? You take a proper job, let's say, or you go with the cycling. And then it was just also clear, okay, if I choose cycling, I also have to kind of like earn my money. And the turning point, I think, in my career when things got weirdly, I would say, was in 2018, 2019, something.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I never like struggled a lot with food or with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the moment where I was writing my bachelor paper. I was really stressed about it because it took
Oh
so
yeah.
much time and I wanted to hand out the best paper I could.
Mm-hmm.
And while that happened, I kept racing really, really strongly and really hard. And I just got the information from the German national team that I could do the first World Championships.
Wow.
And they were in Austria, so it was a really hilly course. And I knew, okay, like it's just like physics and cycling. As lighter you are, as faster you go up the climbs. And I felt so honored by the national team to do the World Championships, and I wanted to do the best World Championships I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started to train harder and harder. And with like while still writing the bachelor paper plus all the training, I I just put out so much energy that automatically I was losing a lot of weight. I didn't
Yeah.
force it at all, but it just happened automatically. And in the first period or first weeks, first month, I could really feel a positive effect out of it.
Mm.
I was flying up the climbs. It was an amazing feeling. Yeah. So that was actually the turning point.
Mm. And so you notice this positive benefit. You're going faster. Does that then accelerate and snowball the stuff you were making changes to get to that point initially and take it further?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was aware of it. I knew how I like that I was losing weight. Also from the first reaction was actually my mom. She drove me to another race, like to the airport, and she was just telling me, Clara, like we noticed you lost a lot of weight.
Mm.
Please be careful there. And I was like, yeah, it's just now of the preparation for the World Championships. I really want to do well there and stuff. And they were like, they just kept trusting me that it was just for a certain period.
Mm.
But once I was feeling, okay, actually, your level went from here to there in
Mm.
cycling. Suddenly, before I was always just like a domestic rider. I had my teammates,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly I was going for my own results just because I was so much stronger on the climbs. And mentally, that made a big switch in my head, I think, because suddenly um, I got kind of yeah, like you said, I got all the positive effects out of it. And then my head was just like, why should you change something? Suddenly
Right.
you're like one of the best riders on the climbs.
Mm.
And why changing? Because you get podiums, you get suddenly a salary, stuff like this, and all the prestige as well. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
really, really strong. I felt better than ever before in the beginning.
Mm.
And I was so focused. I could just fulfill every training. Training got more and more harder and harder, and I was just on it. I was constantly peaking, and
Wow.
it was just a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I never, in the first 1 or 2 years, I never considered to change something
Mm.
because, yeah, I was so successful on the bike.
Yeah.
And it made me proud, but I always wanted to make people around me proud. I wanted to make my
Mm.
dad proud about my results and stuff. And so I didn't want it to change. And I was
Yeah.
aware of how I was, and it got worse and worse in like 2 or 3 years. Even if I wasn't aiming for a lower body weight, but it just went down constantly because
Wow.
I was just not feeding my body for the amount of training and of
Mm-hmm.
the energy outcome. And but still it was not getting worse on the bike. So for me, there was never that click moment where I thought it's a bad thing. I was completely aware of how I looked. I never
Yeah.
enjoyed my look in the mirror. I
Mm.
found myself too skinny. And I
Mm.
also got a lot of like not so nice comments on my
Oh.
look, and it made me really sad.
Aw.
But because I was so great on the bike, I didn't
Mhm.
want it to change.
Yeah, yeah. Did you, when in those first 1 to 2 years, did you have any changes to your menstrual cycle during that time period?
I pretty much lost it right away.
Wow.
I lost within like 5, 6 weeks, I lost like 4 kilogram, and that was just a magical line kind of. I
Yeah.
think it's always a really fine line in all high performance sports, I would say,
Hmm.
where you just have the right weight for the sport you do, or you're a little underweight. And for me, this like probably it was 1 kilogram, and I was too low,
Ah,
and
yeah.
I lost it. And but honestly, in the first years or like the first month, I didn't mind. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's great. Like,
Yeah.
I of course it's not great at like when you think about it, but
Hmm.
first place I was like, oh, it's a lot less to think about it, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't have stomach pain anymore, and it
Mm.
just felt easier. And also because it was sometimes I could just when I talked to other girls about it in the sport, and they also didn't had their period and they were
Mm.
successful, for me it was a sign, okay, once you lose your period, you're one of the really good athletes,
Uh,
because all professional athletes don't have their period, because that's a sign for low body fat. That means perfect
mm.
athlete body consumption and stuff. So for
Hmm.
me, that was also logical. Um, and I also remember, like in the years when I started cycling, people telling me, yeah, and the real athletes, you can see the little vein here on the arm. So in my head,
Mm.
okay, once you see the vein, you're a real athlete. Stuff like this were forever
Mm.
in my head, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to be one of them. And I also found it difficult sometimes with the men cyclists when you see pictures of them preparing for the Tour de France or something, they're super lean. You see all the muscles,
Mm.
all the veins, and everyone is like cheering from them and like, oh, they're so good in shape and stuff. But if a woman looks like this, and obviously I was looking like this, I just got like a big shitstorm for.
Mm.
And that really hurted my feelings, because in my
Yeah.
eyes, I was just the perfect athlete. I was not a great like female, not at all. I was
Mm.
really on the limit. I didn't got my period. I was always tired. I was
Mm.
like my mood was going up and down, and I
Hmm.
really also kind of destroyed a lot of relationships and a lot of good moments in my
Mm.
personal life, and I caused a lot of stress for my family. But
Hmm.
in my eyes, I just wanted to be that perfect athlete, which was
Hmm.
in my eyes super lean. You could see all the muscles, all the veins. For me, that was the sign of an athlete, and I was just going for this one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so how long after kind of making that initial change did you start to realize maybe my body's not responding so well anymore?
Well, it's difficult to say, because from the first moment on, I was kind of on it. I spoke
Yeah.
quite openly about it. Also in the first year when suddenly I won races,
Mm.
that in that year, it was 2019, my team actually stopped me from racing because they were too concerned about my current body weight. At
Okay.
that moment, I did not understand. I was so mad at them, because I was like,
Mm.
why are you taking me out of it when I'm
Hmm.
such in a good shape? I can win
Yeah.
races here. And I kept training hard, but they said, no, until you have that certain body weight, you're not allowed to race with us. And of course, yeah. But later on, I'm really happy that they did that decision,
Yeah.
because in the end, they just saved me a little bit.
Hmm.
I got back to the weight they wanted. I could start racing again, but then it dropped down again. I changed
Mm.
teams and stuff. So I was always aware that something isn't great, but I never and I kept like getting support. I went to different psychologists, but also different doctors. But because first I was also like, because I was eating, I was
Hmm.
not like a normal girl who's having an eating disorder, who's not eating or
Hmm.
making herself puke or something. I was
Hmm.
constantly eating because I needed energy for my training. I
Yeah.
was just not eating enough for the amount of training I did,
Mm.
and never gave enough of, especially not enough carbohydrates.
Hmm.
And so I also went to a lot of doctors, because I was like, it's impossible that I'm not gaining any weight. if I even increase my nutrition and
Mm,
I'm working with a nutritionist and stuff,
mm,
so why is my body not responding to this? And
mm,
then we checked for like leaky gut syndrome, all these kind
mm,
of things, but there was never like a clear sign.
mhm.
And yeah, in the end, I was now later on, I realized, okay, it was just really not enough energy I put into my body. So it was
Yeah.
just a malnutrition. And but from the first year on, I tried to get support, and it took a little while till I found the perfect person for myself, because I
Hmm.
think it's not always that you right away you find the perfect psychologist or something. You really
Right.
need that connection. So I went through quite a lot, but in the end, I found my personal perfect
Good.
psychologist, and since then I work with him, and it's really good to get support where I just have that open space where I can talk about everything.
Yeah.
It's not always about the eating disorder or red S, whatever you want to call it. It's also
Mm-hmm.
about personal stuff, and it really, I
Yes.
think it's really helpful. Um, but still, like, even when I started immediately kind of to try to get better or get support, I never 100% committed to it, because I
Hmm.
still had in mind, well, I'm still really successful on the bike.
Yeah.
And because also studied sports science, I know all the stuff behind it. And it was, it was never that critical. Or when I got a little bit more body weight, I was still underweight, but I was so strong on the bike. So for me, there was never 100% commitment to make a big change. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. I think that is very common. And I also think you sharing that your experience where you're like, I'm eating, how, like, I'm not intentionally causing myself to
Hmm.
throw up. And I think that is really important, is that that is pretty common where there's just an energy mismatch and
Yeah.
we don't realize it sometimes. We're putting out so much volume from an energy
Yeah.
lens that the need is it. I mean, eating ends up being like a second job to the
Hmm.
sport. Like, you have to
Yeah.
fuel the sport. And you mentioned the carb component, not consuming enough carbohydrates. At the time, what did your diet look like, or was there a carb fear at the time because of wanting to keep the weight lower? Or tell me a little bit about that.
I think it's pretty much what you say.
Yeah.
I was so feared about carbs. I was like,
Mm,
they're like my enemy. I don't know why, because there's no reason for it. It's in
mhm,
the end, I learned it's your fuel. Like it's like the
mhm.
gasoline for the car, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of also, I think looking back, it probably started already when I was 12 or 14 years old. I was in school with only girls, and they always wanted to do this like low carb trends and stuff. So
Mm,
there was always kind of in my head,
mhm.
and I never really understood like why. Like I never craved carbs. I
Hmm,
don't need pasta or rice. I was like, I
mhm.
really enjoyed the vegetables and this and this. I just enjoyed it more, and
Yeah.
I didn't felt like I needed. But also sometimes it was just like all the social media is full about like low carb
Oh,
trends and
yeah.
stuff. If you're
Yeah.
not in the athlete scene, then.
Hmm.
And so I was just like, yeah, why should I eat them if I can have a big amount of vegetables that makes me also full for a certain time with less calories?
Mm,
It's better like this.
mm.
So I think there was a little issue there.
Yeah. Were you using carbohydrates as a fuel source during training, or no fuel, or what was that?
Um, Not really.
Yeah.
Because I learned like in the beginning when I started cycling. So when I was doing the track and field, we
Hmm.
didn't have to eat during the sessions because they
Right.
were like an hour or something. And
Yeah.
we didn't stop while running and have a jail or something. That was
Right.
because we're not doing that long. So I was not used to eat while exercising. And when I started cycling, it was not such a big thing. Now it changed completely in the
Mm,
last 3, 4 years. It's a completely different trend. But when I started, it was also sometimes we did those fast and rides and stuff.
hmm.
And sometimes we also had to, like, we got told you need to train your metabolism. So we
Mm,
train low carb and stuff,
hmm.
or just with water or whatever. So it was just really sitting in my head that we don't need carbs. You don't need to
Mm,
fill your body. If you fuel properly before or after, it's enough. And honestly, when I was really in that bad situation, like when I was really struggling the red S or eating disorders, I
hmm.
often used the bike time as time for myself and also as an escape from, because
Mm,
at home I knew that people were like controlling and watching me what I would eat,
mm-hmm.
and I was afraid of not fulfilling their what they want me to eat. So
Yeah.
I was kind of making myself starve on the bike to then
Mm,
have at least some hunger later.
wow.
And
Yeah.
also telling my head, okay, now you did just like 4 hours without any food, so you actually burned 2,000 calories. So it's okay if you eat the rest of the day
Oh,
just what the
yeah.
people want you to eat,
Yeah.
which was in the end a really bad decision.
Yeah.
But it was, my head was just kind of
Yeah.
also playing games with me, and I could use the training as an escape, and
Mm-hmm.
as and also if I would train harder, I would burn more calories, so I could even get into a bigger deficit to make later up the day more
Mm,
livable and like less stressful with my family or friends, when then,
wow.
because then I could eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Did you notice or start to feel at any point that the way you were fueling your body was starting to affect your ability to recover from your training sessions or hit the higher end intensity efforts?
Sometimes for sure, yes, but I think my head was so strong that I never
Mm,
allowed myself to feel bad on the bike or
mm,
to tell myself, "Oh, you didn't recover well." I think I also talked with my psychologist about it, and he said, "Okay, you were constantly full with endorphins and stuff, so you
mm-hmm.
didn't really feel the pain as well." So I was just so determined to keep doing the best I could do on the bike that I didn't felt any pain. I could suffer so hard, which I
Wow.
complete kind of lost now.
Yeah.
I can't dig so deep anymore. I'm like, what's the point? You're just hurting yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But at that time it felt so right, because
Mm,
off the bike I felt like a little disaster, because I could feel that friends were didn't want to, or tried to avoid me sometimes, especially when it came to meals. Also
mm-hmm.
my family was constantly scared about me. So in
Mm,
the personal life off the bike I felt not that great and
yeah.
quite a disaster, but on the bike I felt always so good. So no matter how bad the legs felt, my head was always a lot stronger, and
Mm,
therefore I never felt really weak on the bike.
mm-hmm.
Like, there were two major things that happened to me, where I could feel, okay, something is really not good.
Mm,
I crashed two times, quite heavily
wow.
in the Giro Italia, and both times like within like 2 years. So in 2021 and 2022,
Wow.
I broke my pelvis, and
Oh
that's a
gosh.
major injury. And it could
Yeah.
have cost my completely cycling career, because it was really completely damaged into
Wow.
many pieces. And I was not allowed to or to even go out of bed for 12 weeks. I had to lay down
Oh,
because they couldn't do operations, so I had to heal by themselves. But
wow.
then, of course, we also checked the bone density, and we figured out I have bones from an old lady,
Mm,
and that was really scary for me to see, because
yeah.
they also explained me that actually no matter if you gain weight now, your bone density, you can't really get it up again. You just stay there, and within the years you get to the same level as others, but you
Mm,
can't really increase it again. And
mm,
they just like really made it really clear how difficult it is and how bad it is.
mm-hmm.
And then also, of course, with the years I got older, um, from since I'm 14 years or something, I'm always telling everyone around me, like, my biggest achievement in life is creating my own family.
Mm,
And when I lost my period, first I was like, oh, that's great, less to think about it. But slowly, with getting older, I realized, okay, you really have to make a switch, because not getting your periods over such a long time,
mm,
it can really destroy your dream of creating your own family.
mm-hmm.
So I think these were pretty much the turning points where I could feel, okay, maybe you're still amazing on the bike and you're still one of the best climbers and it goes really well, but there is definitely a life next to cycling or after cycling. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the biggest turning point. So when coming back to your question, did I ever felt weak on the bike or something? Actually, no, which is not a good statement, not a good
Mm,
message, but it was just reality.
yeah.
But the life next to cycling or after cycling became more and more important for
Mm-hmm.
myself, and I had to make a switch.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, again, I think this is such helpful information because a lot of times endurance athletes will lose their period and they're like, is it the training? Is it not? I'm eating.
Mm,
I feel really good. And, they'll start to tell themselves these things, but yeah, and they feel good. So it's like, why?
yeah,
Nothing's wrong, right? I feel good.
yeah,
And so I think it's just paying attention to those things and you can still feel good. But like you're saying, a lot of that is the adrenaline, the norepinephrine,
yeah,
the endorphins that are trying to compensate and take over
absolutely.
for such the high stress that your body's under. You mentioned kind of the mental side of things, being on the bike, trying to ride, kind of doing the calorie math or the energy math. How how have you overcome that? Do you not look at
Um,
your device anymore? Is it still a struggle? Or are there things you tell yourself to help kind of get away
I
from that
just,
thought?
yeah, I just learned a lot more what I actually need per
Hmm.
day. It also, woman cycling became a lot more professional. When I started, there was never like a nutrition was not a big thing. We didn't have nutritionists at all and stuff, and
Wow.
also no doctors in the team.
Mm.
And now I would say since actually the maybe let's say 2022, I would say there was the biggest turning point in women cycling with the first Tour de France.
Wow.
And suddenly teams have an environment with a doctor,
Good.
with a nutritionist and stuff, and they're really focused on that every rider is as healthy as they can,
Yeah.
and they put health as one of the priorities actually.
Good.
Already in the first training camps in December, we have we call it trash days.
Mm.
So every rider gets a little trash bag in their pockets, and we have to collect all the papers from all the gels, from all the rice
Oh,
cakes, from all the bars we eat. And then in the end of the day, we make the trash king or something. So the rider who ate the most actually wins. And before it was probably who ate the less but was still the strongest. But now it's really who is able to tolerate as much food as they can. And these riders, they perform in the long efforts along, or like in general, they perform a lot better. And I think
yeah.
that's a really good statement. And I like through the years, like since the last 2 or 3 years, I put a lot bigger focus on nutrition on the bike, and also the coaches and the teams, they're so supportive in this, and they force you to eat as much as you can,
Mm.
especially on the bike. And that helped me a lot because they just tell me, okay, if you're just 20 carbohydrates lower than your component, you're just not there in the end. And
Yeah.
we all want to be there, right?
Yeah.
And because that's why we train so hard, that's why we sacrifice so hard. And if I just have another year and then be able to make it to the finish, of course you do it. For
Yeah.
me, suddenly I completely switched my mind,
Mm.
and I also started to work with an app, for example,
Mm.
which really helped me to track my food better.
Hmm.
And I was always I like, if someone asked me how much calories or something has this kind of food, I can tell you right away.
Yeah.
I became such a specialist in it. But
Yeah.
suddenly I looked more into the micronutrients. I looked more,
Mm.
okay, for example, I was like, okay, you just had an apple for dinner, but actually learning that an apple also has kind of 20 grams of carbs, and you can use these carbs differently than you thought before. I found it really interesting, and I could use the app really great to track my food and really
Hmm.
get enough carbohydrates,
Nice.
especially. And I found that really helpful. And also the app is, for example, connected to my training peaks, to
Mm.
my where my coaches, where my sport directors, they put my training inside, and
Hmm.
then I see how heavy the session will be, and
Hmm.
immediately the app tells me, okay, this is a hard session. You have to eat really a lot for breakfast and also on
Yeah.
the bike. So I know exactly what I have to eat. And it just showed me what an amount I actually have to eat. And I think that
Nice.
was really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. So how long, out of curiosity, did it take for you to get your menstrual cycle back? Or have you gotten your menstrual cycle back?
Yes, I got it back.
Yay.
Yeah. So like the real recovery, when I fully started to commit and actually also started to gain weight, because like I said before, it took like 2 years where I was
Mm.
committed but never gained any weight.
Yeah.
Um, so it was a long process, I would say. But the full like commitment and recovery started in the end of 2023, beginning 2024.
Hmm.
where I could really slowly also increase my body weight and also especially the body fat because that was always really, really low for me.
Mm.
And within 6 months, I got my period back.
Nice.
But it was also it was a that's 7 kilogram extra.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was because I was really, really skinny
Hmm.
and I really needed those extra 5, 6 kilo to get the period back.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was the day before my birthday, and
Oh.
I got my period back, and first I started crying because first I was like I knew it's a really good sign. I was
Yeah.
really happy about it, but I was also completely overwhelmed because suddenly there was this little noise in my head. Oh no, are you still a real athlete now? You know?
Mm.
And now suddenly you have to plan everything and you have to buy tampons and whatever. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
shit. But
Yeah.
at the like a few moments later, I was just really happy, and I
Yeah.
told right away my parents, and they were starting crying. They were so happy, and I
Oh.
just knew, okay, it's a really good sign, and it's a
Hmm.
really good path I'm taking on. And since that, I also got it completely regularly, which is
Hmm.
quite a surprise because I talked to a lot of other athletes who are now in normal body weight, who recovered from ED or something, but
Hmm.
they after even a year they still didn't got their period back, or
Yeah.
they get it maybe once in like 3 times per year or something.
Mm.
So I think it's really individual. For me, it happened immediately in a really
Mm.
good way, and I get
Yeah.
it constantly. But it can be really individual, and I think it's really important to
Hmm.
tell these girls that it's still like the right path, and they should never give up. And at one point, the body will make the switch, and it will come.
Hmm.
And even if you get it only like 4 times per year, it's still better than never, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I think we have to spread the message that having the period is something really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's just something normal and we need it. And it's never a sign of not being a professional athlete.
Yeah. And what kind of things did you start to notice once you got your menstrual cycle back, or even just increase the energy availability for yourself in those like 6 months and
Yeah.
onward?
Um, I have to be honest, I experience bad and positive things, I
Hmm.
would say. I never like until a certain point I was really happy with the new body weight and also how I felt in general. I had a lot of more energy,
Awesome.
and but for me the best thing was the environment, which was a lot more calm, and I started to enjoy life a lot more because
Mm.
I didn't stress about it anymore. I was always trying to eat myself.
Mm.
I would not share dinner with my family and stuff. I would always try to just be a little bit more isolated.
Mm.
And suddenly I could just feel they're not constantly watching me anymore because now they really trust me because I made that change. I didn't
Hmm.
talk about it like before because I showed them I can do it.
Yeah.
And it just everything got so less stressful. I was
Mm.
like there was so much like weight from my shoulders just falling off, and it was just I think for me the biggest relief. And also on the bike, I got a lot more punchy, I would say. I
Mm.
got more
Hmm.
strength. I could tolerate, or I could just produce more power. But the negative sides were also there. I had to learn again how to feel myself or how
Mm.
to adapt to the new body. Like, there are processes nobody
Yeah.
talks about. Like, for example, I had to completely change my whole wardrobe, and saying
Mm.
goodbye to a lot of clothes I loved, and
Yeah.
that was not easy. I didn't
Mm.
like it. I was like, I still kept trying on the jeans, but I could not fit into it anymore. And
Yeah.
these moments were really heavy for me because,
Yeah.
yeah, like I was so used to that body image I had.
Hmm.
Um, and also then, like, I realized once I had a normal body weight, suddenly I could not stop gaining weight. It just kept
Mm.
going up. And I think I also stored a lot of water, or I still do. I
Mm.
contain a lot of water. And especially during the periods, it's quite heavy for me. Like,
Hmm.
I can increase my body weight there, or
Hmm.
it got already a lot better. It was especially the first half a year when I
Hmm.
got my period, it was like an explosion of hormones
Hmm. Hmm.
because my body didn't had it for like 6 years and suddenly it
Yeah.
didn't know what to do with all of this. So I was really, everything was crazy in my head and in my body. But now it gets already quite normal again, I would say.
Yeah.
But for me that was really scary because I could feel what is going on with you, like
Mm-hmm.
before you always had it in such a control, and I'm quite a control freak. I love control, and before, like, being so skinny gave me so much control about
Mm-hmm.
myself, and suddenly I felt like I'm out of control. I have a good body weight, but now I keep increasing, and I could not find like, I didn't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to really speak open about it, and especially with my team
Mm-hmm.
nutritionist, and try to get help there, because cycling is still like a really like a sport where the body weight plays a big role.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got quite bad on the bike, and that was so frustrating for me
Mm.
because I had the feeling I get punished for choosing the right way. I get
Um,
punished every day in training on the bike, especially in the races, and that was for me so hard to accept, because
mm,
cycling for me is it's my love. I feel
mm,
the best when I'm on the bike. I feel free, but
yeah.
suddenly it felt like, I mean, I just suddenly had like 14 bottles of water on my
Mm,
shoulders, and I had
mm-hmm.
to carry them up the climbs. And if someone is cycling, you know how hard that is if you have just like 1 kilogram more in the bottles or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the feeling, because not automatically all the extra weight got into pure power,
Mm,
because I didn't only grow muscles, I also got a lot of new body fat, because
mm-hmm.
I was always really low. I was around 4.8 when I was
Mm.
really low
Wow, yeah.
percent. And yeah, everyone told me, okay, if you don't get up to at least 12, 14%, you don't even can create new muscles. So first I
Mm-hmm.
had to get more body fat to even gain more muscles and stuff.
Mm,
So, and then once everything was normal, but having more body fat is not like, if it's too much, then it's not helpful on the bike again. So finding the right balance, I found really,
yeah.
really difficult.
Mm,
And I think that was also the moment when I had the feeling, okay, now I just want to speak open about it. I want to share my personal challenges,
mm-hmm.
because yes, I'm really happy I did the recovery, and I'm really happy about all the positive effects out of it, but it's not always easy afterwards.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm still want to keep doing the cycling, the like, on a high performance level, I have to figure out the right balance between having the perfect body weight, not too low, but also not too high. And at the moment, I'm a little bit too high. And I think when I opened up to my nutritionist, she was also really scared
Mm,
to help me there, because she might felt like scared that I would get back to that state where I was underweight, or where I would force myself not eating enough. But I'm
mm-hmm.
totally over this. I know exactly how bad that was for me, but also
Mm,
for all my friends and stuff.
yeah.
I will never go back there. Now I just want to have the perfect body weight,
Mm-hmm.
for my sport.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really difficult topic, because once your body decided something, it
Mm-hmm.
just sticks to it. You can't
Yeah.
just change it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that was also like a little bit the point why I wanted to talk open about it,
Yeah.
to tell people, yes, it's easy to say to someone, just gain weight and everything will be fine. No, it's not the case.
Yeah.
Everything will be a lot better. And it was really the right decision. I will never go back, but it's not automatically, everything is not easier. And
Mm-hmm.
especially now I'm not the best climber anymore. And for me, that's really hard to accept.
Mm,
So I'm 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 also, it's difficult to find new teams and stuff, because I'm just not giving the performance anymore the teams used to expect from me.
mm-hmm.
And I changed as a rider. I'm not a pure climber anymore. I'm more um like an all-rounder or something. But it's I just found it really difficult now to find the perfect balance, and to find my way in the sport while
Mm,
staying healthy and keeping on going the right path. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. That is a challenge. Did you say it took 6 months to get your menstrual cycle back?
Yeah.
How did you keep yourself going in that direction, like day to day, week to week, when you month to month, like those first couple of months, you've made changes. We've had athletes like this where we'll start making these changes and like they're kind of like half in, half out, and then a month goes by and they're like, but I made the changes. Like, where's my period? Is this even worth
Mhm.
it? Is this the right direction? Like, were you going through any of those thoughts through the process?
Sometimes I was never like um, depressed or something that I have to get my period back as soon as possible. I was
Mm.
just like, I was pretty sure once I have like this kind of weight, I kind of knew then I would get my period.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just had that feeling.
Mm.
And so I was just kept slowly increasing my weight, and it came quite natural. It was never that I had to eat so much more
Yeah.
in daily life. It was really like also the nutrition on the bike. And I felt like I got stronger in general, not on the climbs, but in general, I got
Mhm.
stronger on the bike. And that kind of also pushed me forward to keep going that way.
Awesome.
And yeah, so everything came quite natural, I would say. I
Mm.
was just not making myself starve again. It just everything just felt so normal to have those 5 meals per day.
Yeah.
I loved having my mid afternoon snack, and because I was also surrounded by an environment where everyone was eating so much, and
Yeah.
everyone had a afternoon snack, and everyone had a snack after just before going to bed. So I was just enjoying with the others.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it just became such a routine to give like every time a little bit more food. It was not like having massive portions. It was more like having 5, 6 times per day
Mm-hmm.
good proper food.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really helped me to have a good routine and constantly increase the weight. And I just knew, okay, once the weight is fine, you get your period.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. So for our listeners and athletes listening who may worry about eating too much, what message would you want them to hear about fueling and performance versus restricted eating?
I think if you're really being like such a professional athlete and you have so much energy outcome, there's never like something like eating too much actually. Like I think eating too much would mean really so much that we can't even eat that much. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that would have been like, let's say 8,000 calories per day. We can't even eat that much. We don't have enough time for it, and we don't have enough food for it. So I think having too much food should never be a concern for us. I think having too much food from not the right food would be
Mm-hmm.
probably a concern, because of course we eat a lot, but we try really to eat healthy stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, on the bike we eat a lot of sugar and Haribo and whatever comes across our way.
Yeah.
We just get everything in. But off the bike we really have a really healthy diet, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. And I think as long as you eat healthy and the right foods, what makes you good in your specific sport, every sport is different. I think there is never something like having too much food if it's the
Yeah.
right foods,
Awesome.
because in the end it's just energy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What practical steps would you recommend for an athlete who suspects they might be underfueling but doesn't know where to start?
I think something like an app is really, really helpful. For me,
Mm.
there was a major change. I was just suddenly realizing what kind of food contains what kind of nutrients and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if it's connected to your training, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's super helpful, because you just realize, okay, it's a hard day, you need more food. Otherwise, you're gonna suck in training, and nobody wants that, because in the end, we
Yeah.
train so hard and you want to have the maximum out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really helpful, I would say. And otherwise, if you don't have access to apps, but that shouldn't be a problem, because at the end there are so many apps like this.
Yeah.
Just try to get in touch with a nutritionist or
Mm-hmm.
surround yourself by other athletes, and you can easily see how much they eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How do you now keep yourself accountable to meeting your energy needs while balancing the demands of professional cycling? It sounds like that app was one of the things, right? The
I used the app for a long time. Now I have the feeling, okay, now I have it under control myself.
Yeah.
I learned what I need more or less. I got an eye, and I really enjoyed the app for like 6 months or something. But once I felt, okay, I got enough, and then I realized, okay, it's also really time consuming sometimes to
Mm-hmm.
put every little detail in the app. So I just learned to trust myself. And once you've like, if you go out training and you suddenly feel a little shaky, or you don't put the numbers, oh, you didn't eat enough. So it's always a
Yeah.
clear sign to eat something. Or also if you don't recover well after training.
Yeah.
For me, these are now the body signs that I get from my own body. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's like the best way you can figure out if you got enough food or if you didn't.
Right. Yeah. And what advice would you give coaches, teammates, or even family members who might be noticing someone struggling with relative energy deficiency but aren't sure how to
Mm.
approach them or the conversation?
I think it's really difficult. I
Yeah.
I realize myself I get really sensitive now, and I have kind of this X-ray scan kind of. I see
Mm-hmm.
immediately if someone struggles because I've been there. I see all the tricks you
Oh,
can do.
yeah.
Because I used a lot of tricks to avoid the food or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I get really sensitive, and I'm almost really stressed when I see that because
Oh,
I don't want anyone in the same situation I've been, because
yeah.
it's really not an enjoyable life and it
Mm.
can destroy your whole future. So I get quite emotional, and if I had a few teammates where I could see some signs, and when I saw the right moment, I took the person in private. I would never speak loudly or open, but I
Mm-hmm.
really had to feel it's the right moment, and then I would always speak about myself
Mm-hmm.
and never point someone or talk badly about, like, oh, I see you lost weight or you do this
Mm.
and this. I think that's the worst thing you can do. I
Mm.
think it should always be from a, like, I would always talk about myself first,
Mm-hmm.
and then just try to give her a safe space where she can really opens up, or he, and to make the person feel really comfortable and
Yeah.
share what I've experienced. Because I think later, when I look back, if I would have a person or an athlete sharing the same stuff like I did to
Mm-hmm.
talk to, I think it would have been really helpful, because
Mm.
I had a perfect surrounding, like my parents, my family, the psychologist, but never had exactly the same body feeling what I had. And
Yeah.
I think it's really different if a person who goes through exactly the same stuff talks to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be the most helpful thing. So, um, if I could give an advice to family or coaches or sport directors or something, I think it's always the most important to find a really safe space that the rider feel or the athlete feels really comfortable, and never judge
Mm-hmm.
someone for something. Because what I realized, I never wanted to be in the situation. It was, and I also, people say, ah, like, it's such a sensitive topic. Aren't you ashamed? No, I'm not ashamed about anything. It was a disease, I didn't
Mm.
choose to have that.
Mm.
I just got into it, and then it was really hard to get out. But if someone
Mm.
breaks a leg or have cancer, everyone is saying sorry for them or gives
Mm-hmm.
flowers, and everyone wants to be supportive. But in a topic like this, when it comes to eating disorders, everyone tries to avoid. And I think
Mm.
that's not the right approach, because we didn't choose to have that disease,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we shouldn't be judged for it, I think.
Yeah.
And I think if someone struggles with it, I think it's important that she didn't, or the person doesn't get the feeling of being judged or doing something wrong. It's
Mm-hmm.
more important to give a really warm help and
Yeah.
support.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're coming from a place of love and caring and like you're saying, no finger pointing or blaming.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, whether it's nutrition, fueling, performance, what would it be?
I think I would tell myself to um, just enjoy everything more. Don't
Mm.
always like try to do everything 100% perfect, and don't make yourself suffer so hard all the
Mm.
time, because in the end it doesn't bring you so much further than joy would do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just really try to also inhale everything you can get from, like, being a professional athlete, all the positives,
Mm-hmm.
and don't always see everything so stressful and such a burden, because it is. I've chosen to be a professional athlete, and it's such an honor to be that kind of, like, athlete, and don't have, like, I have a, like, later on I have a big job or whatever, but being like a pro athlete for such a long time, I think it's something we should all really enjoy. And yeah, I think that would be something I would like to tell myself, to just really be happy about it and don't be so stressed and hard to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And what is one daily habit or mindset shift that helps you stay both healthy and competitive today?
Um, for me, structure is still like a good thing.
Yeah.
Even sometimes I try to escape my structure
Mm.
because it can be quite tricky sometimes. But still, like, I really like to go out early in the morning for training, to then also enjoy the afternoon with friends or family, stuff like this. And I really try to put a big focus on great food. I love cooking. Cooking makes me super, super happy.
Yeah.
And I want to, if it means that I have to wake up half an hour earlier to have a really nice, also good looking breakfast, I would do it because I appreciate my food and I know it's important for me. So I really want to also enjoy the food, and especially also cooking for or with someone is something I always try to put into my daily life, to just not eat all the time alone anymore and just
Yeah.
enjoy everything with family and friends.
I love that. Wonderful. Okay, so I want to be mindful of your time, so I'm going to jump back to our two truths and a lie.
Yeah.
You said when you were younger and you were a skiing teacher, you had set up a beanie company, I think you said with your sister, right?
Hmm.
And that when you got your driver's license in 2012, you never had to parallel park after that test day, it sounds like. And then if you were not a professional cyclist, you'd want to be a professional keyboard musician like your sister.
Yeah.
I thought the driver's license one was a lie. Which one was it?
It was the piano thing.
Oh, really?
My sister, she's a professional musician.
Yeah.
She travels around the world and is doing piano,
Wow.
or like she's writing songs and everything. But she definitely got all the musician genes, and I only got the sports genes. I tried to play the piano for 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
but I always got stuck in the same song. So
Wow.
I made a deal with her that she gets my piano sessions, and I can go to soccer. Actually, my
Cool.
parents figured out only half a year later, at Christmas when I had to play and I couldn't. I'm really bad in music. I like to listen, but I'm really bad. And yeah, about the parking thing, I'm really bad in parking my car. So when I only see a side park, I would drive through the whole thing again and again and again until there is a spot front to
Oh
the
my
front.
gosh.
I also don't park backwards. It's a
Yeah.
no-go. So, or if I don't find a parking spot, I just have to change my schedule.
That's
I
so
can't, I
funny.
can't park
Yeah.
parallel.
But you passed the parallel parking in your driving test,
I
right?
did. I was
Yeah.
great. Yeah. But from there on, I didn't had to do it for a couple of months. And then
Yeah.
once I didn't do it, I didn't practice. I was like,
Oh no.
I can't do it again. So
Yeah.
I really avoided. And it's not a lie. I didn't park parallel again since 2012.
Wow. Wow. That's wild. And then you guys had a beanie company, you and your sister?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's so
So
cool.
we were both skiing teachers, especially in the holidays from school
Hmm.
in the Alps. And while we were sitting there, we just started knitting. And she was always knitting, and I did the bobble on top
Oh yeah.
like
Hmm.
this. And we were selling a lot of beanies. I think in the end more than 700, 800.
Whoa.
And it was a good income because
Yeah.
we just did it in the evening in front of TV, and it was really lovely. And everyone on school wanted to have that beanie, and we did it in different colors, different shapes. It was super
Fun.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. Good for you guys. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, where can our listeners find you, follow you? I know obviously quick Google, you're gonna find lots of stuff,
Yeah.
but where do you want to direct people to find you and follow your journey?
I think my biggest side is on Instagram. I'm not really present on other social media
Hmm.
sites. So I think Instagram is the best side, and I try to find a good balance there between posting about personal stuff, about
Hmm.
my daily life, about sport, a lot about my dogs and food,
Oh,
honestly.
nice. Yes.
So I think, yeah, Instagram it is.
Perfect. Well, we'll direct the listeners there, and I think is it Clara underscore Koppenburg is your Instagram handle?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
not so difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll link that in the show notes for the listeners so you can follow along. And what's coming up next for you from like a training racing lens? Anything coming down the
Yeah,
pipeline?
so currently I'm not having a team for next year.
Hmm.
I'm unfortunately in a really bad situation there.
Mm,
So I'm still trying to figure out if I can continue being a
mm,
professional cyclist.
wow.
I hope so, but if not, I would like to. I just signed up for my first gravel race. I'm really excited about
Cool.
it. I'm
Oh
really
my
scared
gosh.
because I have no technical skills on the bike, but I love the atmosphere there and I love being
Yeah.
in the nature. And
Hmm.
so I really want to try gravel racing. And let's see how it goes. And
Yeah.
if I don't perform or if I don't get a road team for next year, I might just look more into gravel racing and maybe try to figure out life a little bit next to cycling.
Yeah.
I'm also writing my own cookbook right now,
Oh,
so I will
fun.
put a bigger, more time into this,
Yeah.
and yeah, just trying to figure out what's next. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, if you find yourself racing gravel in the United States, let me know.
Oh, I will. That would be
Yeah.
really a big dream.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, so cool. Well,
Thank
and
you.
certainly if you get that cookbook out too, let us know. We'll share that on the
Oh, I will.
socials. I'll be wanting to
I
cook some
still need
stuff.
some time, but I'm on it.
Yeah, amazing. So cool. Well, this has been really fascinating. Again, I really appreciate you sharing your journey.
Thank you.
I think it's so helpful and important. And I know it's going to help a lot of our listeners. So thank you again so
I
much,
hope
Clara.
so. Thank you too.